Hey guys, me again, Orkslayer. What if where we last left off? Let's see, checking. Where we last left off on what if Deku was Killer Croc? Yeah, I'm gonna continue with this one because it's been a little while since I made a part for it. Where I last left off, Deku was able to break Shinzo's mind control by biting off his finger. Yeah, so a lot of this is gonna end up with Deku winning. I'm gonna be straightforward with you guys. And most of you pretty much know that, so I'm going to shake it up a bit. I'm just going to skip past the Forest Festival. So, I'm just going to name it like this. Deku wins first place. Second place goes to Bakugo and Todoroki. Not Bakugo and Todoroki, but Bakugo. As for third place... Sorry, trying not to yell. But yeah. And I'll say third place goes to Todoroki and whoever else won. I'm gonna I'm just gonna go straight to the internships. So I feel like I have a pretty interesting idea to take on that. Well, first, let me cut over to Sludge. As you guys know, Sludge has been slowly but surely building contacts in the underworld again. He's essentially their inside man. Now, at the moment, he has a meeting with the Metal Liberation Army. He has actually grown very rapidly in this short amount of time, using his old sway that he used to use when the Yakuza were bigger and they weren't like crushed in that massive raid. He's been able to centralize? That's probably not the word, but he's been able to organize it very rapidly among the warring gangs that are left to clean up the scraps. So he's been making moves and acquiring support items and all that, because he understands how the game is played a bit. That you gotta have a strong base build up, but he can't have it too strong to where if he lost control of it, they could just go on a rampage. So he keeps some places weak and some places stronger. It's all very depending, and he's trying to keep it a good balance. Just so, like I said, they don't become too strong. As Sludge is actually going to go meet, like if I said, the Meta Liberation Army. His name is... Give me a second. Sorry for that. I just had to look up his name real quick. Forgot it. I just remember as Buff Doofenshmirtz. But Redestro is meeting with Sludge. As Sludge is he knows the infamous Redestro isn't going to be easily fooled. So he's got to make himself very convincing. And he doesn't necessarily actually share the ideals of the Metal Liberation Army. He actually thinks they're quite wrong, considering the fact they believe quirks should define them the entirety of society. He thinks that maybe a little bit to where, yeah, the strong are there, but when he saw how heroes and corrupt heroes came to step down on people like him who had a villainous quirk or not a even powerful quirk, he came to... It's sort of one of the reasons that drove Sludge down the road of villainy in the first place. But then after meeting Jackster, Looney, and even Deku, he came to realize that thinking was flawed and that he had to improve himself so that way he wouldn't make those same mistakes again. And it was only thanks to Deku and all of them that he was able to stray from that path. And that's something he's thankful for every day. Because he also recognizes the Liberation Armies thing is a bit... Because if I remember, they believe that the strongest should rule, essentially. For instance, if... Let's say they had All Might. if All Might had their beliefs, he believed that he should be top of the world, pretty much king of kings in that instance. Because he had the power to do so. That is, if I remember, that's essentially what they believe. But anyways, I digress. He's essentially gonna have to try and convince him to buy support gear and to allow his little pocket, you could say, his little sector of the city to be allowed to somewhat form an alliance. He wants this to go over smoothly so that way he can not be absorbed into them. Because he's actually discussed this with some high-ranking members, let's just say, of his own little inside group that he's put together. A lot of them don't like the Liberation Army for the same reason he does. Because they realize that if those people get what they want, essentially, and he doesn't have like the strongest of the strong among his like higher tier. He actually has some people that are pretty, her quirks aren't the best, but they themselves and their skill sets allow them to be much more useful. They realize that if the Liberation Army takes over, it's going to be a worse time for them. That it won't be very good. He has some mutation quirks there, yeah. Some emitters, some like a little telekinesis quirk like Inko's, that they can like draw small objects to him. Stuff like that. Alright, I was looking back. I was a little bit wrong. I remembered hearing somewhere, I thought, about how they Meta Liberation Army. I was going to say how they were against some mutant types, but I've been looking through, trying to make sure I remember that right, and it looks like I'm wrong. That there isn't. That it looks like they don't discriminate against mutant quirks. As far as I can tell, at least I've been looking it up, just to make sure. Well. Anyways. So, I'm just gonna keep on with the story. So essentially, they're going on, like, listening to Sludge of how they're going to proceed. Sludge is honest with them that he says, we gotta tread very carefully. They have a lot more powerful quirk users than me. Our strength does not come from our quirks, it comes from our minds. Remember that. Don't challenge anyone to a fight that you can't win alone. If so, bring a gun. As then he is off to meet with Redestro. As they sit down and have a pleasant enough conversation. They're going through this as, I'm just going to say the sports festival is on. As you can see where Sludge peers over at after a little bit of a break in the conversation between Redestro and himself. He's just like, Croc, the alligator kid, is really doing it. This is the part where they see that he blows away Shoto Todoroki with a massive punch. It's like, his quirk is quite powerful. It's a shame that he's one with the heroes. Then again, I may be able to sway him to our side. With such power, he could make a very powerful ally. He's just like, you got other heroes among your ranks? Sorry, it's just like, of course. The heroes themselves try to become there's quite a few heroes out there that become heroes just so for the ability to use their quirks freely. It's just like, yeah, I kind of agree with you guys on that. It's kind of stupid how much they limit us. And it's just like, yes, I knew I would get along with you. He's like, but though I do kind of worry for some of your aspects. It's just like, oh, really? How do you mean? As remember, Redestro is like a full-on supporter for their like beliefs and all that. As Sludge is just like, oh shit. I just think in the sense that if we allow that kind of thinking to take over us fully, just imagine how many. Eventually, it's just going to come down to who has the most powerful quirks. Look at me. As he uses his quirk, you think this is really that powerful? No. Quirk isn't the only thing that matters. It's also about your mind and how you react. If you could have a guy that could break mountains, but if he didn't know, for instance, not to, let's say, punch himself in the face, he would blow off his head with his own strength. It's not just about quirks, is what I'm essentially saying. No, a lot of people seem to forget that nowadays. What times were simpler. She looks down to the ground and she's like, well, it matters not. So, back to business, as he's just like, back to business. As a continual discuss for longer periods of time, he's eventually able to maneuver to where it's a good deal for his side, that they're able to keep their independency, and they'll help traffic some of the the armies. I'm just gonna say the meta armies gear to lower level thugs and such, just so they can get some field tests with more of their support items. That was the word. This goes on for, well, let's just say it's gonna go on. As Sludge had returned home, or not home, but to the base, he takes notice that people seem to be getting more antsy. He questions why, and they say they've been contacted by a Yakuza, a very high-ranking Yakuza. Sludge takes a moment and is just like, explain. It's just like, his name is Overhaul. Very high-ranking. He's the new leader of a group. It's like, and what do they want? He's coming here. It's just like, you did not deign to tell me this before he showed up. It's just like, we're sorry. It's just like, have him come in, set up a room. I want people in that room with guns ready, understood? Have them in holes in the walls, whatever you'll do. It doesn't matter. It's just like, what's the guy's quirk at the very least? Can you give me that? It's just like, people just say when he touches you, you explode. As he's just like, what? He's like, when he touches people, I heard you the first time. What do you mean they explode? As when they get to his little meeting room, they play a video as it's one of Rompo. He's like, man, that guy's massive. Is that him? He's like, no, that's him. As he's like half his size. Just keep watching as they see him dodge he dodges Rompa's punch, and he just sort of glides his finger over him, then just a splat sound as he's just like, that's what you meant. It's like, yep. It's just like, this is bad. You know what to do. He's like, yes, sir. As they set off, as he's just gonna be like, first I meet Redestro, now I'm meeting them. I helped the League of Villains. What's next? Am I gonna be contacted by the Boogeyman? As then after an hour, they show up. As they make their way to it, he has Rampa. I'll say Rampa. Just for now, I'll just say Rampa. Somebody that, from what Shizaki or Overhaul could see, is that this place really isn't the greatest. That they don't have that many powerful quirk users around here. And that's because when all the big bosses got busted, they brought a lot of the powerful quirk users, so that way they wouldn't be... If they got attacked, they could defend themselves, essentially. As this is going on... Let me get this on my head, face. Sludge is kind of sweating quite a bit as they actually interrogate him like something wrong. He's just like, no, just a so busy day, you know. As he's rubbing his eyes, she's like, yes. Now, as Sludge is like, now what do you want? As it's just like, that's very blunt, isn't it? It's just like, being blunt is the best option in this scenario. Let's get straight to the point. What do you want? She's like, we are starting to sell a new drug. And it's just like, I thought Yakuza don't deal in drugs. That was like our whole code last time I checked. She's like, well, those were in the old ways. Now we're in the new ways. It's just like, okay, what do you want? It's like, we want you to serve underneath me. It's just like, ain't happening. It's just like, excuse me? It's just like, ain't happening. None of those people out there are putting themselves below you. There's only one person they follow. That's me. It's just like, oh really? And why is that? Because when all of them were running around without a head to guide them, where they were pretty much going to shank each other in the back until nobody was left, I came in and sorted that out. He's just like, now tell me why I would allow you to sell your drugs in my territory. He's like, we'll give you a percentage of the money. He's like, it's not about the money. Because here, this is a bad part of town anyway. We're trying to clean it up at the very least a little bit. We should have standards, alright. She's like, yeah, as he can talk about how he saw a couple of people who weren't in the best condition, like on sidewalks and such. He's just like, that is why. Now, as he sits up a bit more, he's like, you better give me a good reason for coming in and asking here why you could sell drugs in my town. As he's looking them dead in their eyes, Shizaki goes to like remove a glove as Rampa's just like, boss, come on, why can't we just stop this thing and punch him already? Sludge is getting ready to transform as he's partially transforming his arms. She's like, Sludge, hold your tongue. As Rampa's, not Sludge, hold your tongue, Rampa, hold your tongue. Sludge is looking at Rampa and she's like, no way. You've been telling me to watch my mouth forever. And I need to at least get something off my chest. She's like, I don't care. Keep it to yourself. As he's like, you would be making a big mistake for refusing me. She's like, I ain't refusing you. I'm telling you, no, we aren't selling drugs. She's like, but if you were to the market to sell something else, I wouldn't mind that. As this is like a back and forth going constantly, Rampa's just kind of bored, just sitting there like, boss is talking as usual. As he just goes down and just sits, Rampa and Sludge are sort of like in a part where they're fighting constantly. Like, one says the other, they'll twist it around saying no because of this, and yes because of that. But I'll continue this later. I am kind of tired, but anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed this, hope you guys continue to enjoy this, and hope you guys have a nice day, nice night, nice life.